this is Yang. Welcome to the first bilingual episode of my cooking show. Today, with this gorgeous jamon from Spain, I will make a traditional Sichuan dish, cabbage in boiled water, which is actually so much more than just water. First, we'll make a broth, then clarify it, and in the end, we will deal with the cabbage. In Chinese cuisine, the clarification process is called sweeping, which is very similar to the French consomme technique. First of all, we will need to butcher this jamon into manageable pieces. My plan is to divide the ham into 5 pieces and start sawing from the ankle. In the middle here is quite deep. We can remove the claw to get in there better. Voila, our jamon is all sawed up. Now we need to clean up our ham. Just scrape down the surface, especially all the dark colored area. The flavor of Spanish ham is very strong. For our broth, 2 pieces will do. When you think of Sichuan cuisine, you automatically think of spiciness. Actually, while the Sichuan pepper is native to Sichuan province, chili pepper was domesticated in Mexico and did not make its way to Eurasia until Christopher Columbus accidentally discovered America. So it's only been less than 200 years for chili pepper to be part of Sichuan people's diet. In traditional Sichuan cuisine, there are a lot of sophisticated dishes that are not spicy at all. Other than jamon, we will also need a chicken, cut in half. A hen would be better. A duck, also halved. A pork knuckle for flavor and collagen. Now we need to parboil the chicken, duck, and pork. Start with cold water and gradually heat up to draw out blood and scum. Rinse the meat clean after parboiling. For aromatics, we are keeping it simple, only scallion and ginger. For additional umami, we will also need 8 dried scallops. Take out your stock pot. Put 2 bamboo sheets in the bottom to prevent sticking. Load in the pork, chicken, duck, jamon, scallops, ginger, and scallion. Pour in about 6 liter or 1.6 gallons of mineral water. Keep the heat low. When the water is steaming, we can start skimming. Keep skimming until there's no scum left. Then we will cook the stock for 6 hours, low heat all the way. In the meantime, we can start prepping the ground meat for clarification. 250 gram or half pound each of pork tenderloin, chicken breast, and duck breast. We are looking for the lean cut. Cut pork and chicken to 1 centimeter or half-inch pieces. For duck breast, remove the skin before cutting. Traditionally, you will finely mince all the meat, but I choose a grinder. Just load in the meat piece by piece. And we get ground meat. Store in fridge until needed. After 6 hours of cooking, our stock is done. Fish out all the solids. The broth needs to cool in order to be clarified. To speed up the process, we will build a double chiller. Pour ice into a large container. Arrange a smaller container inside. Pour water to create a frigorific mixture and transfer the stock to the smaller container. Because of the hamon, the stock should have a light brown hue. Stir occasionally to facilitate cooling. Since we have a bucket of ice at hand, I decide to cool a bottle of white wine as well. Cheers! After the broth reaches 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit, it is ready to be clarified. In traditional Sichuan cuisine, you use only the ground meat for clarification, and you need to sweep the broth at least 3 times. With the French consomme method, for every liter of stock, you need 23 grams of egg white, which is about 1 gallon of stock to 3 ounces of egg white. With the added protein from the eggs, we only need to clarify once. Mix up the ground meat and egg white really well. Add a little water if needed. So, why is it possible for ground meat and egg white to clarify a broth? The story starts from protein. The basic unit of protein is amino acid, which is an amine group, carbonyl group, and a side chain specific to each amino acid. 2 amino acids can form a peptide bond by dehydration and further form larger molecules. For life on Earth, there are 20 common amino acids that can form protein. They have various characters like essential, non-essential, or hydrophilic, hydrophobic, and so on. Proteins are literally machines that make life possible. American architect Louis Sullivan once said, "Form follows function." However, in the world of proteins, form actually determines biological function. For instance, flagella in bacteria are motor-like proteins that propel the organism to move around in water. Kinases are proteins that can walk on microtubules in a cell. These functions all depend on the forms and shapes of proteins. Each protein has its unique shape because of the protein structure. In order to understand 4 levels of protein structure, let's look at insulin. The primary structure is a sequence of amino acids that form the polypeptide chain of a protein. Insulin has 2 chains, A and B. Amino acids are connected by peptide bonds. Secondary structure is a local folding pattern of the polypeptide backbone, meaning without the side chains. Common patterns include alpha helices, beta-plated sheets, and a few others. These structures are stabilized by hydrogen bonds. Tertiary structure is a complete folding pattern of a polypeptide chain, stabilized by hydrogen bonds, hydrophobic bonds, van der Waals force, as well as disulfide bridges. In insulin, there are 3 disulfide bridges between the 2 chains. Remember that this folding process is not random. Insulin will fold up exactly like this every time it's formed. Quaternary structure is a final 3-dimensional shape of multiple polypeptide subunits of a protein. Insulin can form dimers, meaning 2 subunits, or with the presence of zinc, hexamers, meaning 6 subunits. Heating will destroy the hydrogen bonds and disulfide bridges in the proteins of meat and egg white. As a result, the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structure will collapse, and only primary structure will remain. This process is called unfolding or denaturing. On the unfolded polypeptide chain, hydrophilic side chains will interact with water. Hydrophobic side chains will bond with each other until a new, random, and chaotic structure is stabilized. It's like a spatial web, trapping free amino acids floating in stock, or fat molecules, among other things. The process is known as protein coagulation, and this is why egg whites can clarify stocks. Other than heating, acid or physical force can also denature protein. Ceviche or Cantonese meatballs are perfect examples. Pour the chilled broth back to a clean pot and add the protein mixture. We need the protein to raise temperature slowly, so keep the heat low. Stir constantly to encourage clarification and prevent sticking. Around 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit, the meat and egg will turn white and larger clumps will form. Eventually, it will float on top of the broth as a monolithic mass. In consomme making, this is referred to as a raft. Stop stirring and carve out a small hole for ventilation. When the raft forms, we actually already finished the clarification process. However, because a lot of free amino acids are taken by the raft, we also lost flavor. Adding meat to the mixture and slow cooking with the raft will help reintroduce flavor back to the consomme. Through this opening, we can see that the broth is already very clear. After 40 minutes, take out the raft and pass consomme through cheesecloth. After clarification, the soup should be as clear as boiled water, hence the name of this recipe. Finally, it's time to prepare the Chinese cabbage. Get rid of all the outer layers and only keep the tender core. Cut off excess stem and make sure it can stand on its own. Cut it in half through the equator. Use some needles to poke the cabbage so that the flavor can penetrate better. Pour in some consomme to steam for 20 minutes, covered with cling film. Take out the cabbage and cool with ice water. Use a kitchen shear to trim each leaf into triangular shapes. Then squeeze out the water. For plating, put the cabbage in the middle of the bowl and transfer some consomme into a teapot. Pour the soup onto the cabbage like so. If you are lucky, you can see the cabbage open up like a lotus flower. If not, just try again. No one will know. And voila! Of course, this plating technique is only for presentation. It doesn't actually taste good, because compared to the leaves, the stem is always more chewy. Let's try another way, which is very minimalist. Pick out a nice celadon bowl to complement the color. Pour in the consomme and garnish with a single cabbage leaf that was steamed in the soup. And here it is, cabbage in boiled water in its purest form. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next episode. Cheers.
白菜怎么吃啊？这种白菜就不能吃，我觉得。